Hi, everyone. It's Andrea Lowe from Social Impact Studio Consulting. I'm here also with my colleague Sandhya Karki, and we're here to talk about the second of our five values, which is diversity. And when we talk about diversity, we believe that each person brings their own experiences, backgrounds, cultures, habits, and their ways of working and knowing to Social Impact Studio Consulting and to its work. We believe that bringing each part of ourselves to our work makes this a richer, more collaborative, and a safer workplace. And as a result, all our staff, our volunteers, our clients, and members of our community and the communities we work with are cherished and are encouraged to bring their full selves at all times, even on the bad days, to our collaborative and co-created work. So I'm going to turn it over to Sandhya again to kick us off with where she understands diversity and how that shows up in our work every day.
Yeah, thank you, Andrea. I believe, for me, diversity is not only about who is present, right? It is also about whose ideas, experiences, communication styles, and ways of working are genuinely valid. It's very, very important to kind of like highlight, diversity. Either it's in like workplace, in cultural setting, in community. It's very important, right? Because it strengthens like research experiences, and it helps like teams ask better questions and interpret the findings more thoughtfully. For me, diversity means like bringing your full self does not mean everyone works identically, but it means like making room for different personalities, like cultural experiences, strengths, and needs. And diversity really, really bring out the best in people because you get to learn so many things from each other, right? Like the things that I am like closed off like with my mind with my experience. And if I have a friend like who is from like different country, different, who's like who had like different experience or something, that I get to learn from him or her, right? So I feel like it's like opening your mind. It's opening yourself to like new ideas, new innovation, new perspective, new perception, and it's very, very important for an organization, because of that part, and then also like to any person. So that is like diversity for me, Andrea.
And I love that because I feel like for me, very similarly, right? Like I want to point out one of the points that you kind of talked about is like they almost having a diverse set of experiences, people from all sorts of backgrounds or all sorts of walks of life at the table can really help refine ideas. I know I'll come up with ideas all the time, but then like you and other folks on our team will be like, hey, did you think about this? Or like, what about that? And I'm like, oh, I didn't think about that. But you're only able to bring that because you have a very different set of life experiences and educational experiences than I have. And I feel like we've been able to do that for each other.
Mhm.
And also for our clients as well, just being, I feel like that's one of the great things also about being a consultant is like you're also bringing that experience of like not having been part of their organization for however length of time. You're not necessarily inside the organization. And we get a chance to work with so many different organizations that we can bring practices, best practices, skills, and other abilities that folks
Mhm.
may not be aware of to their work and be like, hey, have you thought of this? Because, this other agency does this, or there's this resource out there that's pretty cool, or we're changing things, you're seeing the trends in this way. And I feel like that's just a value also to the clients that we serve as well.
Yeah, exactly. And like, in like a workplace, like different perspective can like reveal gaps or assumptions, right? That a more similar good group like might overlook because they have their own, experiences to like share about, right? And then I also feel like people should not feel like pressured to hide parts of like themselves to be viewed as like professional, right? Because like It's just like not a good experience for that part. And I also think that like, diversity improves both the workplace and then the quality of our work, because when people bring different experience and ways of like thinking, we are more likely to notice like blind spots and develop solutions that actually reflect the community we serve, right? So I feel like it's very, very important. And like, one point I also like think that is very, very important is like it is not enough to invite different people into the room, right? People also need to feel safe contributing, disagreeing, asking questions, and like being themselves. Because that is also part of like valuing the diversity in like workplace or like community or like in personal life. So it's very, very important that they feel safe, that they feel heard, seen, and valued. So yeah, so I think that's also very important.
I love that. I feel like for myself, one of the ways that I try to do it and love to hear like kind of how you tried to bring that in as well is like especially when I'm facilitating a session, I'm like, okay, hey, I try to be myself as a facilitator. Like I will if I'm gonna be silly or crack jokes or like, just talk about how I'm feeling that day. Like I will talk about how I'm feeling that day, but then also, notice who's like maybe a little quieter or who's speaking a lot and trying to, just, give and make space for people who may not have said anything yet. I know for myself, I am very introverted. I don't like to interrupt people, especially when the conversation's going, even if I have really good ideas. So I'll either wait till the end or if I see a big break. So I always try as a facilitator of spaces to like, okay, let me create these breaks so that people who are like me can
Mhm.
actually find a space and time to talk and share a little bit about whatever they have on their mind, which would be very valuable to the conversation.
Yes, like yeah, exactly. Yes, like being mindful about like that part, and then like, just like making sure that like, people like from like different background and like different culture experience are, having a platform to voice out their like, opinions, their like recommendations and guidance. Like it's very important. And like it's like the tips and tricks that we do in our day-to-day life of like, like you said, like, waiting for your turn to kind of like speak up on something, like, being actively like listening on their points and their suggestions, so they also feel like we're just like not like listening to them, but we're actually like, acquiring the information that they are like sharing. So I feel like it's very important for like the people to, have them like feel heard, seen, and like, those spaces. So it's very, so it contributes to the organization goal as well as like communities betterment. Yes, Andrew.
Mhm. And one thing I want to make sure we also add and focus on is that like bring our full selves even on our bad days, because
Yes.
like I think sometimes, I mean, everyone has a bad day. Some days people just don't want to be there.
Mm, yeah,
Um,
I agree. Yeah.
and and they're not there. And I think being able to acknowledge that, and I feel like that's something that we've been able to do with each
Mhm.
other and in the spaces we're in, is you like, hey, like I'm here or I'm just not here.
Mhm.
And then either working with what you've got or stepping away. And we can talk a little bit more about this when we get to one of our values around health and wellness and rest. But I feel like not neglecting, reminding ourselves that we don't have to be perfect all the time or show up like where we're like 100% all together. Because I feel like there's often a lot of pressure to be like, okay, yes, I'm all of this, like I am ready to go. I can do all these things and at least put that projection out there, even if we're not actually there. That's not how we're feeling. So being able to share that too and being vulnerable, honestly, in like what I don't know or what I don't feel helps us to learn from others and create space for them to share with us and be vulnerable with us as well.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And that is something like I'm also like learning, as well. And then like And I see like from like someone who yet to have to like learn that part, it's very, very important to be able to like share like where you are, like what you're feeling, like how you're feeling, like, even if I'm like having like some kind of like bad day, and then being like, hey, this is like what's happening with my, day to day. So I might not be able to like, fully contribute or like fully be present there. And then I feel like those kind of like communication, or like those kind of like, sharement among the team, or, when you're collaborating, it helps understand the other person as well, because they know like where you stand and like how other person is like feeling and like stuff like that, so they can kind of like, act accordingly,
Mhm.
so there's no
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and respond, be there for you.
Mhm.
We just talked about respect in another video. It allows people to show their respect and be part of, recognizing you as fully human, if they understand where you are too.
Exactly, yes. I feel like this is very important for that, from that side as well.
Okay, well, now I'll turn it over to you guys. Would love to see in the comments. We will read every single one. What you think about diversity, what you think of what it means to you, how you're showing up with your full self, or maybe you're not quite there yet, and want to get there, but what in ways that you could show up as your full self, or recognize and bring in diverse other people into your sphere to help you grow and support your communities. And thank you for listening to us today. We will, please check out our other videos on our values. We have a total of 5 values at Social Impact Studio, and look forward to seeing you in the next video. Have a great day.
Thank you.